My session is more, instead of the theory, also looking at how the theory works in real life, what it's like in real practice, some of the issues around the boardroom table and how they get resolved. What I focus on is what's the business model? Is it a business I'm comfortable with? Not vis-a-vis the knowledge of the business, but the ethics of the business and how business is done. Who the chairman is, who the CEO is, and do I know any of the other directors? Obviously focus on what time commitment is expected, because that will impact just what portfolio I would keep and manage. So you're very much looking at those factors before you accept any position. And of course they have to accept you as well. I mean, you have to go in front of a nomination committee. So it's a two-way street. It's them accepting you and you accepting them. I'm particularly keen to understand the motives and the personalities of the chairman and CEO when I look at boards. I want to feel that I'm going into something that I can add value to in some dimension, and so the culture is important, that one is encouraged to get involved, to speak, that one is listened to, and that it's not just a process board, it's a board that is actually adding value to the business, and a board that's being listened to in professionally challenging management. Well, first of all, something that people have got to recognise, and they don't always recognise, is the responsibility and accountability for an independent non-executive is exactly the same as it is for an executive director. The challenge to me is making sure I get all the information I should have as a board member to be able to appropriately challenge management and to be able to consider issues in the light of all that information before making a decision. So how much is the right amount of information without being too much that you get absolutely snowed under by information? Another challenge is making sure you get to know not just the chief executive, but you get to know the executive management as well. So you understand where they're coming from, you understand the issues they're facing, so that you can make good decisions with them. Because you can't be a successful board without a successful management, and a good board wants to make a successful management and vice versa. So it's working hand in hand with management. Other challenges are you might not have all the skills on a board. I mean, there's a limited size to a board, and understanding what skills you haven't got and how you fill those gaps, whether you bring in specialists to review certain areas or speak to the board about particular topics to make sure that you're kept up to date with all the challenges being faced by the business model that you're working within. That's another issue, is board rotations, as to make sure you don't have a stale board that is continually refreshed. And some jurisdictions, they would say that an INED, you have to justify after 9 years why you're still independent, because having been involved with the company for 9 years, are you really still independent of mind when you're representing INEDs to look after all shareholders' interests? So it is, I think, useful and helpful to be able to reinvigorate the board. Obviously you don't want to change all the members at one time, so again, to be able to stagger that and have rotation of board members and new talent, new diversity and new knowledge which may reflect the changes in the business over a period as well. Independent directors, I think, bring value to the board by being the professional challenge to the board. Because the reason people have been appointed as INEDs is because of their knowledge, their backgrounds. And hopefully you've got a diverse board with a wide spectrum of knowledge, whether it's sector knowledge, industry knowledge, country knowledge, financial knowledge, technology knowledge, but you've got this huge pool of knowledge that people working in other businesses and perhaps being independent non-executives on other boards can challenge management about what best practice is, about what's going on in the external sector, and have they thought of all the issues coming from some of the topics that they're discussing. So I think the INED has a very important role as being the challenge professionally to management.